All right. James Yen, oh, the right stuff, James Yen. Let's welcome James.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. For the past several years, I've been on a fact-finding mission to discover and catalog misusages of certain common words. And what I found is there are a lot of words that are commonly used and are very commonly misused. Now, why is that? Let me just say, most of the examples I found are on the internet, but usually on reputable sites that have wide circulation. But still, there are a lot of mistakes that really shouldn't be made. And why is that? Well, it seems everyone and their nephew has their own column or blog, but not everyone seems to have a real editor, other than perhaps using spell check. And spell check will not catch you using the wrong word, only misspellings, although it's getting better. And by showing these mistakes to you, I hope that we can all do better ourselves and perhaps entertain ourselves in the process. The very first example, and I've discussed this in a previous meeting, but this is the mistake I've seen the most often, even on NIST reports, is do I use complementary with an I or without an I? And a general rule is unless you're paying someone a compliment like nice speech, or you don't have to pay because it's a complimentary meal, use the version with an I. For every other one, use the version without an I. All right, here's a quiz for you. Which sentence is correct, A or B? So, sort of a trick. They're both incorrect. So both have mistakes, and the first one seems more obvious, but believe it or not, I've seen both of these mistakes many times. Talking about misuse of an apostrophe, this is perhaps the most shocking mistake I've seen because it was in the Washington Post, for goodness sakes. You would think they would have real editing. So a quote from Larry Hogan when he was giving his stay-at-home orders: if your plumbing is leaking all over your house, then you can go to the store and buy something. So obviously the problem was not with Governor Hogan, but with whoever was transcribing his press conference. Now, some other mistakes I'll go in detail. These I'll just list briefly with the correct word behind it. I've seen that is an idle threat. No, not unless Simon Cowell was involved, I guess. Like it was rolling down a slanted flat plane, not that sort of plane. They're not discreet about their relationship. Discrete is like a math term. Principal component analysis, that's understandable but wrong. All right, here's a mistake I've seen quite a few times. He was fazed by the situation. So there are actually quite a few definitions of the word phase, but none of them really fit in this situation unless he's a character in Star Trek and he was shot by a phaser. Or the phaser was held by someone from Jersey Shore. But the correct one is F-A-Z-E, phase. Next example, I've seen it more than once. He wreaked havoc, so not correct unless he wreaked havoc because he smelled so badly. Yes. This is one I've read recently. The proposal violates all of the tenets of golf. So obviously it's tenets of golf, not tenets of golf. Here's an interesting one I saw. He was known for making humorous wry remarks. So rye, mostly you've seen from a plant or the bread. So this is incorrect unless the remark was made about a certain episode of Seinfeld, for instance. So correct answer, WRY. Next one I saw in a popular site. Elimination of the middle gap left a carnivorous gap between the remaining divisions. That puzzled me at first because carnivorous means meat eating. So that makes sense only if the middle group was eliminated because the other two groups ate it. So I think they mean cavernous, meaning really big gap. My last example, or maybe it's next to last example, after losing to New Orleans, Washington coach said it was, a total team debauchery. So a grammarian would first point out the but I don't think that's what he meant with debauchery, which, to paraphrase it, extreme indulgence in immoral sex, drugs, alcohol, etc. Although if the game was actually in New Orleans, that sort of fits what I've heard about New Orleans. But I think what he meant was debacle, meaning a great disaster, a complete failure. But I later realized he could also have meant botchery, which is an act of botching. So it was both a debacle and a botchery, so a debauchery. But actually, I should tell you that I blame the coach a lot less than I do the authors of the previous examples I've shown, because those authors had a chance to edit and proofread, whereas the coach was just speaking off the cuff. So recommendations: proofread, maybe get someone to help you. Don't rely on good spell check. And read good writing, even books that will improve your own writing. And I'll sign off with this coach speak. I found this in the old Gaithersburg Gazette. He's 6'5", 200 pounds, and throws the ball like a gazelle. So I don't know if it was the coach messing it up or the reporter. So my final recommendation is avoid cliches. Avoid them like the plague. So a lot of these mistakes are made by people borrowing phrases that they don't really own. So use your own phrases and don't borrow. So thank you for your attention. I guess there's you can ask questions, so they can be, if you have questions about certain words, or you have questions about the examples I showed you, or questions about any of the obscure pop culture references I used, or if anyone, or your own favorite mistakes. So if anyone has any questions.
I have a question.
Okay.
James, what is the worst mistake you ever made in terms of choosing the wrong word choice?
Hmm. Actually, it is. I was having trouble, and then I realized that I wrote like a report for a 6-year-old sixth grade essay, and I misspelled a word, and then I I accidentally substituted another one word for another word. So, and my sixth grade teacher actually told the class what I had done. So And let me just say that it was so embarrassing that I literally cannot describe it in a Toastmasters meeting because it might be considered off color. So I might get in trouble. So let's just say it was very embarrassing. And my teacher immediately regretted telling the class afterwards. So, and thanks for reminding me. I hadn't thought about it since, yeah, sixth grade. So, yeah, embarrassment floods my psyche yet again. So.
All right, great. We have 1 more minute. If anyone wants to ask a question, now's your chance.
James,
Yes.
it's Gina. If there's no question, I just wanted to say that this kind of speech and anything with words is so interesting to me that I also keep track of these mistakes. So I just saw one a couple of days ago. It was on the internet. The sentence was, our governor from Pennsylvania canceled school till the end of the summer, and he took a lot of flax for it,
Yeah.
as in FLAX. Anyway, thank you.
Right. Yeah. I guess he would reply with a wry remark. Yes, with that. So, yeah.
I have a quick question.
Okay.
Great speech. What isn't there a technical term for those types of words where words sound the same? Because I always seem to see those questions on Jeopardy, and I can never remember what it's called.
Actually, I think from elementary school, I think they can either be called homonyms or homophones. So words that sound exactly the same. Yeah. So it's sort of understandable that they might make that mistake. Although carnivorous and cavernous don't sound the same, but they sound similar, I guess. But,
All right, well, let's thank James for his very James, thank you for working so hard to give your speeches the last in your manuals while we are virtually meeting. Week after week, you are giving a speech, so I want to commend you for one, good time management to be able to do so many speeches in such a short amount of time. This speech topic was perfect for you, James. For those of us who've been in the club for a while, we know that James is a master of the use of puns and turning words around that, you know, have a slightly different meaning, but still has that same meaning. So he really understands and uses those words really well. And so to do this topic was really perfect for you, James. I liked all of the ways you used words interestingly in the speech, starting from the title, which was The Right Stuff, WRITE stuff, not RIGHT. I think I spelled that right, stuff. And so you start off with a really witty title, and then each of the examples that you gave are ones that we find in everyday conversation on the internet, even the Washington Post. So those were really good examples. I know that I learned a lot. Complementary and complementary are definitely two of the ones that I'm always Googling, as well as stationary and stationary. So excellent topic. I think it's one that we can all relate to. You know, the example that you gave, that it's there. I got them both wrong. I thought one of them was correct. So you never know what, even at first glance, things are easy, but they're really hard. I thought what you did really well is that you were still able to convey humor through the video, even though you didn't get a response. So that was good. You had good pauses like you would in real life. And it was really effective because the questions afterward really showed that people were engaged instead of dead silence at the end. So that was very good as well, James. One thing that I would improve is maybe make your tones even more dramatic. I know that in person you can be subtle with your tonal variety and people will get that nuance, but over the screen, we have to exaggerate it more. And I know exaggeration's not your thing, James. So I'm going to push you out of your comfort zone and say, you can be a little more expressive, a little more exaggerated over the camera, and we can get your subtleties in the more. But excellent speech. I think it was very humorous, and I love grammar and word play like this. So congratulations. Thanks, James.